I'm fully prepared with everything I need for the Jay-Z documentary. The moment he sent that legal letter, I knew I had to let the world see who he really is. He and Diddy are cut from the same cloth. He just hides his arrogance and control behind a cleaner image. Our feud has lasted 20 years, and I know better than anyone what he's done in the shadows. I even suspect that so-called funeral bouquet wasn't Diddy's idea at all, but Jay-Z acting on his behalf. Back when Nicki Minaj posted that video of him wearing a pink wig, all I did was repost it, and he got so nervous he had his lawyers threaten me. In 2015, Nicki worked her ass off helping him build his platform, and he allegedly pocketed her $7.9 million in royalties. And then there's his fingerprints all over key incidents through the years, whether it's the elevator footage or the guest list at Diddy's parties. He was involved, clearly, but somehow he always walks away untouched. That's what he's best at, pulling strings behind the scenes while pretending to be spotless in public. And now that a corner of the darkness has been ripped open, I'm not stopping. Everything my team and I are doing isn't about attacking anyone. It's about making sure the truth can't be buried by him ever again.
You ain't answering the phone? He ain't answering the motherfucking phone. Yeah, it's like this, like
we had a black billionaire's lunch.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch. Like,
I hate you, man.
And we here together, and we're gonna keep staying together. We getting tighter.
Unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year. Yo, I feel like I'm normal again. Get me out of here.
Jay-Z is under increasing pressure as reports surface indicating that private communications between him and Diddy could have surfaced publicly, sparking massive online response. The matter has forced Jay-Z into an uncomfortable spotlight, reigniting long-standing speculation regarding his close ties to Diddy and earlier relationships that many people now see with fresh scrutiny. As these supposed messages spread across public conversation, old accusations are being revisited. Opinions are shifting while the momentum keeps growing quickly, feeding a widening storm that threatens to challenge Jay-Z's reputation, power, and long-established legacy.
Sean Carter aided and abetted or was directly involved. It's about to get real tense, and there's a lot of girls and boys who are still trapped inside.
In previous interviews, 50 Cent remained adamant about never placing himself inside Diddy's inner circle, explaining certain invitations and environments instantly raised warning signals and persuaded him to pull away early. That intentional separation, he says, is what allows him the confidence to speak openly. Now, when accusations later emerged, 50 insisted that he discovered them the same way everyone else did, through the media. And while he recognized the gravity of the reports, he made it clear that the disclosures matched worries he had long acknowledged rather than appearing as a sudden shock.
Explained that Jay-Z is worse than Diddy. She explained how Jay-Z has done worse things than what Diddy did to Cassie to other females. And she said that she has the scars to prove it. She alleged that at one time Jay-Z attacked her and got it on film like Diddy did. And she alleged that this is why Jay-Z is totally pulling away from Diddy and you don't see him around. And it's been alleged for quite a while that Jay-Z is pulling away from Diddy because he doesn't want himself caught in the crossfire. I mean, you even have 50 Cent at this point talking about how Jay-Z is in hiding while this whole Diddy thing blows over. And you even have these accusations of Jay-Z being responsible for what happened to Kathy White. So I'm going to go ahead and roll you guys this clip of everything that Jag had to say about Jay-Z being worse than Diddy. And you guys let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Sean Carter is just as bad as the diddler. And I know that for a fact. I got the scars to prove it. You want to know what a box cutter feels like going into your skin and ripping you? I can tell you how it feels. Y'all ain't seen shit yet. That Cassie shit, that's nothing. I'm saying Sean Carter remembers everything he did to me and he's got it on tape. just like Diddy. And they're going to be crazy. It's going to be the women that get them in the end.
As the investigation expanded, focus gradually turned toward Jay-Z, with critics increasingly questioning his silence as events surrounding Diddy continued to intensify. That quiet approach only fueled deeper suspicion, leading some to believe his team may have picked up early signs that his name could surface in civil conversations and acted swiftly to control public perception. Others cautioned that even without official charges, damage to his reputation was already taking shape, as social media sped up the circulation of unverified claims and amplified speculation, transforming uncertainty into rapid, unavoidable consequences that felt both immediate and impossible to restrain.
Exactly what Jay-Z's accuser is saying, that even though she dropped the lawsuit, she still stands by what she says, and she only dropped it because of harassment and the fact that she's terrified of Jay-Z. She says that Jay-Z is allegedly bullying her into saying that her accusations were false. In fact, in new legal documents, she is claiming that she was recently approached outside of her home and cornered by two people who told her they were investigators working for one of Jay-Z's lawyers. She claims they tried to get her to sign an affidavit stating that her art claims against Jay-Z were false, but she refused. Jane Doe also claims the alleged investigators asked her if her attorney, Tony Busby, sought her out as a client and offered her money to pursue false claims against Jay-Z, two allegations she says she denied. He says this alleged confrontation left her intimidated and terrified, wondering how they found her when her identity had remained anonymous in media reports and legal proceedings. He also claims that her parents were approached by two investigators asking similar questions about Busby and her R story. In the new documents, she reveals she decided to drop the claim because she was frightened by the reaction from Jay-Z and his supporters. He says she feared she would be publicly outed and subjected to...
Industry insiders warned that a single criminal investigation could shake far more than just one individual, extending risk to anyone viewed as part of his close orbit. This is why many believe 50 Cent's documentary holds real weight. Rather than focusing on a single person, it seeks to examine how power operated behind closed doors, who may have known what was happening, and how accountability can spread outward once serious scrutiny begins. Analysts have also questioned how Diddy remained protected for so long, with some pointing to calculated alliances and strict control over public narratives, as rumors quietly circulated. Adding to the strain, later reports suggested he may be cooperating with authorities to strengthen his position, a development that, according to unverified claims, could involve providing information about others within his circle, deepening unease and raising the stakes across the entire industry.
Will Diddy start snitching?
He better. But the only thing I'm interested in him talking about is everything he knows about Kathy Coriana White. See, I know you know what happened to Corey. Diddy, I know that. You and Jay-Z down in Vegas at Tao with Claudia. Why don't you just talk about Kathy? That might help. That might help a lot. Kathy Coriana White, Jay-Z's pregnant mistress, who died 24 hours after she announced that she was going public with their relationship and the baby, while he was married to Beyonce.
Was it an aneurysm, Diddy?
Or are you the one who paid the same coroner that you... Oh, Diddy.
Now that the documentary has officially been released, one truth is impossible to ignore. This is not a story rooted only in the past. It is actively influencing what comes next. Each new disclosure sharpens attention on those who remain silent, and Jay-Z is being drawn closer to the center of that spotlight. The scrutiny carries added weight because his relationship with Diddy spans decades, making arguments of distance harder for critics to accept. That tension intensified when Gene Deal publicly challenged statements from Jay-Z's legal team that downplayed their closeness. arguing that the narrative conflicted with what many insiders had long observed. As more voices come forward and timelines are examined piece by piece, the pressure continues to rise, turning once quiet associations into lingering questions that refuse to fade away.
They was close enough that they wasn't playing basketball, they wasn't playing baseball, they wasn't playing football, and they wasn't playing hockey or soccer for Diddy to come on stage, pat him on his ass, and then make the statement to people in the world that can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z. Now, I don't know what kind of statement, and I can't say, I wish I could say half a homo, but I know I can't say it. But I don't know what kind of half a homo that is. And you trying to say that you're not close to somebody. You coming on stage, patting them on their ass, and then you making a broad statement to the public, can't nobody call me Sean but Sean Carter. And I heard Jay-Z said the same thing about them. But they were so close that they had matching white girls together. Because when they used to see each other, they used to say, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? He'd be like, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? So, I guess that's a certain type of closeness.
I ain't know anything about that, man. I ain't know about, Jay touching his, ass. I got to go see the video. I ain't hear about that.
Come on, man. Everybody's seen that. 50 even pointed it out. Excuse me. When they was in ATL on stage. Remember when 50 bum rushed the stage with them?
Yeah, I think I recall that.
When Puff came on stage, first thing he did was pat Jay-Z on that. But I forgot. That's your favorite rapper.
Hey, him and Pocket's 1A, 1B. But what's your issue with Jay, man? I didn't know you had an issue with him.
I'm never a fan of somebody that...
From Gene's perspective, the ease and familiarity between Jay-Z and Diddy communicated far more than words ever could. He referenced a moment during an Atlanta show when Diddy invited Jay-Z on stage, where the natural chemistry between them was impossible for fans to overlook. That clip later resurfaced after 50 Cent highlighted it, keeping it in constant online circulation. When asked whether he held any personal bitterness toward Jay-Z, Gene dismissed the idea, explaining it had nothing to do with loyalty or personal bias. Instead, he recalled a past confrontation that once carried genuine tension, only for Jay-Z to later appear unfazed by it. A pattern Gene described as common among those at the highest level. Individuals who move through intense situations, spark conflict, and then continue forward untouched, operating within a rarefied world far removed from everyday consequences.
These guys are, man, they'll cause situations and cause problems, and then they'll forget what they've done because they on a whole nother atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit that he did, you got to understand, like now he'll say that they're kids because he's raising kids of his own. You understand? But how would you like it that if Blue Ivory, 15, 16 years old, 17, 18 years old, dating a in his early 30s? You're not going to go for that. No matter what she came through in Hollywood. But you got to understand, guys who was around then, we didn't know Jay-Z them ages. We didn't know these cats' age. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't having no beards and nothing like that. They was wearing low cuts. You understand? Clean face. I would have never believed when Jay was coming around the block, scooping up the young girls and stuff like that he was 30 years old. You know, if they 17, 18, 16 years old, and they 22, you thinking they 22, 23, something like that, 24 years old? They mom and them need to check them. They daddy and them need to check them. But that's not that far off. But for somebody to be 30 years old in their 30s and they dealing with kids 16 years old, 17, 18 years, now that's a problem. That's an issue. And now he see that because he's raising kids. And he got a young daughter. I think he got another daughter that he didn't claim, and now he claiming them. These cats was doing a whole lot of stuff that people in the industry won't speak on. And then now that you're speaking on it and it's becoming where is that you can get on YouTube and you could talk about this and say what you seen or say what you heard, you understand, or what you know. Some people look at it being a problem. But these cats ain't street cats. They entertainers.
Dame Dash, once Jay-Z's closest partner, recently spoke about the serious allegations now surrounding him, explaining that what stood out most was not only the claims themselves, but the overwhelming force of the public reaction. Dame noted that throughout his years, he had never witnessed Jay-Z face this degree of scrutiny, as decades of power and influence had long made him appear largely untouchable, particularly within mainstream media. That perception, he suggested, is now beginning to change, with the protective shield starting to crack and exposing Jay-Z to a level of public examination rarely directed at figures of his stature, signaling a clear shift in how even the most powerful names are challenged when attention intensifies.
Odd to see him in that, getting looked at in that way by white people, like Jay does, yeah, like I hope that shit didn't happen, but I'm like, damn, they turned the world real. Like people on a certain level have been f***ing with him a certain way where he couldn't do no wrong for like 25 years straight. This is the first time he's not getting a pass with white media, like he can control black media because a lot of them either work or do business with him, but like, ring champs can't get him out of this one, and neither can Charlemagne, because those are the guys that hold him down no matter what he does anyway. So you got to get the People Magazine and Entertainment Tonight right now, because they on his head. But the question is why? Like, why now? Because for me, I'd be like, yo, that's so ridiculous. Yo, take that to trial. You're not going to win. Let's get a deposition or something. So I don't know why they on his head so much. Pause. But I never seen him, under this, I never seen him in this position to have to explain himself. Pause.
How you feel about the statement he came out with?
I mean, I didn't hear him say anything. I heard a piece of, like I said, I'm doing an interview, so I talk. I thought it was long. For a statement, I thought it was long, pause. But, I think right now, his silence is the worst thing for him. If he is innocent, he needs to let people ask him questions, and he needs to be able to say his side of the story.
What surprised Dame the most was seeing Jay-Z in unfamiliar territory. Guarded, reactive, and under sustained pressure. A position he has rarely occupied except for a few moments throughout his career. For decades, Jay-Z operated without needing to publicly explain himself, which makes the current level of scrutiny especially striking. At the same time, questions continue to arise about why 50 Cent seems so intent on confronting him, suggesting that the Diddy connection alone does not fully explain the tension. Tony Yayo offered deeper insight, explaining that friction between 50 and Jay-Z has existed for years, rooted in rivalry and unresolved loyalty issues. Hip-hop has always thrived on competition, where egos clash and conflicts emerge. But evolution is also part of the culture. Yayo pointed to a recent performance where 50 shared the stage with Dr. Dre and Cameron appeared as well, showing how past tensions can be set aside. Cameron later remarked that Jay-Z prioritizes business over culture, a point Yayo echoed, noting that Jay-Z is frequently present at high-level corporate events while often absent from hip-hop moments that matter deeply to artists like 50, reinforcing perceptions of imbalance and keeping questions about priorities and allegiance firmly in focus.
Like I don't think I would have said that he didn't know Puff at all or wasn't his friend. I thought that was a little extreme. I thought that was the wrong choice of words. I think that's going to trigger a lot of backlash. But the thing is, I never seen him get backlash at all. So that's what I'm saying. Now he getting backlash. Like, when did you know Jay-Z to be on his heels other than when he got beat up in the elevator? But that was nothing. But I've never seen him under the fire ever. Not in a long time. Not like, I've never seen people on his head like that, Paul. Ever.
Yeah, this might be my first time seeing people come at him like this.
Like I said, I didn't hear him say anything. Like, I'm not some white man speaking for another black man doesn't add up. It just doesn't work like that. Like, he doesn't know what to say on Jay's behalf. Jay would have to say that. So he instructed him to say that. Like, you don't even know if Jay told him to say that. He could have got off the stage and they were like, why'd you say that? He was like, I had to. You know, like, he probably said it because homeboy wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? Like, I didn't hear him say anything. I haven't heard Jay say a word yet. Have you?
Nah, I haven't heard him say anything.
There it is. So y'all going by a piece of paper with words? Don't get caught up in that. I have not heard him say one thing yet. You know? Until I see him speak, he hasn't spoke to me. That's why I said I don't think he did not say that. His lawyer said it. So that what else is a lawyer?
Highlighted a defining difference between Jay-Z and 50 Cent when it comes to accessibility. While Jay-Z operates at the highest levels of power with a noticeable distance, 50, despite being just as influential, remains visible, connected, and loyal to the people who played a role in his rise. Yo stressed that true stature comes from remembering those roots rather than separating from them. He recalled a moment that left a lasting impression involving the Super Bowl halftime show, where Jay-Z reportedly pushed back against including 50 in the lineup. It ultimately took Eminem drawing a hard line, refusing to perform unless 50 was included, to shift the outcome. To Yo, that situation went far beyond strategy or image, carrying a personal undertone that reflected long-standing tension and an unspoken rivalry embedded within their complicated history.
There was this one part where 50 was talking, and he was saying, yeah, when Yayo was locked up, every G-Unit show, we actually put aside the money.
Bro, I told
him, and he had like a, he's like, Yayo had like $1 million.
Right. I just told you when I came out of my building, I see the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
There was no way I was getting shot there. And this is what I kind of tell you is like, when we was talking about stacks with the Porsche, 50's not going to let you say, get the Porsche. He going to say, let's get him out the hood first. You know, if the money's there, but the money has to be there for you to live like that. The money's there. 50 didn't have to do that. Rest in peace to Hervé from Interscope, because he always said to me, man, 50 do more for you than any artist, than anybody does for their artists. More.
Over time, insiders claimed that the once solid relationship between Jay-Z and Diddy began to weaken, with cracks forming around trust and growing uncertainty about who would ultimately look out for their own interests if circumstances turned against them. Some voices went even further, alleging that Jay-Z may have played a subtle behind-the-scenes role in Diddy's downfall, an accusation publicly raised by Jaguar Wright but never supported by evidence. Regardless of its truth, the speculation points to a harsher reality at the highest levels of influence, where alliances are often conditional. Loyalty can be fragile, and power structures can shift suddenly, transforming long-standing partnerships into strategic standoffs almost overnight.
In a Cameron,
yeah,
he made a statement recently. He said that Jay-Z loves money more than hip-hop. And he pointed out that Jay-Z performed at Tom Brady's Hall of Fame ceremony, but he didn't perform in any Hip-Hop 50 events.
I mean, Jay-Z's on a whole nother level. Like, I mean, you know, he's like, but you know what I like about 50? 50's on a whole nother level, but he's still approachable. You still get to meet the people and you know, Jay got to remember the people that made him. You know, I'm not saying I don't got respect. I respect Jay-Z, 50, used to respect, you know, Diddy, but all that crazy shit going on. But, you know, I always respected him because I looked at, for New York, those were like the, you know, the guys. You know what I'm saying? The guys with the most money and the most influence. So with Jay is like, when the last time you haven't seen Jay, so I think people are just gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I mean, Jay, you know, you gotta remember, he didn't want 50 at the Super Bowl. That was crazy, come on.
Wait, Jay didn't want 50 at the Super Bowl?
Know that? Yeah, he didn't want.
I remember Eminem pushed for it.
That was some hater shit, yeah.
I remember Eminem was like, I'm not gonna do it unless 50 does it. I heard that.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that Jay was trying to stop it.
I don't think Jay. I don't know. 50 never told me that, but I don't think Jay wanted him there. I don't know.
Because of what, some of the.
I mean, you know, it's competition. You got to think. 50 always been competition for Jay. Remember, I'm about $1. What the fuck is 50 Cent?
That was a long time ago.
That was what, 9? What? Was that 9?
But after that, they did a song together. Remember the whole,
of course, but 50 was always competition for niggas. Then remember Jay said, yo, 50's coming. He told Siegel and them. and Memphis Bleak and all them.
Yeah.
And come on, 50's like, he's on a whole nother level. You gotta remember, he came after niggas. He came after Jay and Rockefeller. G-Unit came, and people might shit on G-Unit, but with Eminem, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, nobody has outside.
Roger Bonds, Diddy's former head of security, offered an insider perspective that further complicates the narrative. He explained that while he witnessed Jay-Z and Diddy crossing paths and interacting, he never viewed their relationship as genuinely close. According to Roger, Diddy seemed to believe the connection carried more significance than it actually did, revealing a gap between perception and reality. His account highlights how at the highest levels of influence, surface-level familiarity can easily be mistaken for loyalty, and carefully maintained appearances often hide far more distance than the public is meant to recognize. Insiders from Diddy's camp have echoed similar sentiments, repeatedly pointing to a clear imbalance in the relationship. They noted that Diddy consistently showed up in support of Jay-Z in ways that were rarely matched in return. Behind closed doors, this pattern suggested uneven loyalty, where effort flowed heavily in one direction while reciprocity remained limited. This observation reinforces how alliances at the top can appear solid on the surface yet privately reveal a lopsided dynamic, one where commitment is expected but not equally returned.
He says to people, he goes into boardrooms and says to people, which I will never say, is he says, it's important for me to be a billionaire, because black people need to be billionaires. And why does specifically he, at that time, I've had this conversation with white money people when they go, it's important that Jay-Z becomes a billionaire. And I go, why? And they said, because he wants to open up a casino. He wants to open up this. He should have an alcoholic brand. He needs to have a casino. He needs to have this. And you're like, why the fuck does anybody need a casino? Like another fucking casino
money
in this world.
And it makes it very possible for people to launder money all day.
Yeah. So like, why, even the fact that you want to become so powerful, then you're not saying because he needs to build schools for black people in black neighborhoods. It's because he wanted to build casinos for black people.
For them to keep wasting their money and then for him to keep getting them overpriced merchandise. It's a rat trap.
Yeah.
All of it is. The sad part is that hip-hop has now turned itself over to this greed machine and doesn't realize it.
From his perspective, Jay-Z and Diddy were never bound by the deep loyalty the public assumed. They simply moved within the same elite circles, sharing success, access, and influence without a truly strong foundation beneath it. As time went on, the lack of genuine allegiance became harder to overlook, and the underlying distance grew increasingly visible. Now, as events unfold in plain sight, those long-concealed fractures can no longer be ignored, raising questions about whether the widening divide will continue to grow and ultimately affect them both.